Episode 9. Handle Fear, Make Violence Backfire. The Serbian student movement Otpor, which was named as means resistance, they offer a powerful lesson on facing repression. So these young activists, they responded to police beatings regularly with jokes, saying, "It only hurts if you're scared." Their attitude, though, it wasn't cavalier, it's tactical. So they refused to grow fear. This is a key lesson for us. So when hundreds of people were beaten in a single day, their response was this: this repression will only stiffen the resistance. This is attitude. This is effective strategy. So practically, they followed people who arrested protesters. They followed them to the jail to make sure they're being treated well. But they then would follow and target the abusive police. They'd show up outside of their homes with pictures of the people that they'd beaten and even their bloody faces. And always, Otpor would say, "You're going to have a chance to join us." Their actions weren't condemnatory, they were invitational. So handling fear isn't about suppressing it, but it's constantly redirecting it, making an opportunity to invite more people into joining us. When Trump's Justice Department is trying to use sedition charges against protesters or arrest political enemies like Jamie Raskin or Liz Cheney, how do we want to respond? One of my friends, Hardy Merrimam, did research on political violence. What he found kind of surprised me. He said, political violence in this country still remains very rare, but the threats themselves have surged dramatically. So CNN reported 178% during Trump's presidency of threats of political violence, primarily from the right. The goal of political violence in those threats is to intimidate. It's to frame us who are being victimized actually as the perpetrators of violence. So making violence rebound requires refusing to be intimidated and resisting it. The option in front of us is we can shrink into cries of "that's not fair" when we see political violence, or we can actually end up spreading the fear by spreading our messages on social media of all the awful things that are happening. Or we can move towards it. We can take a page from Bayard Rustin. During the Montgomery bus boycott, police threatened to arrest civil rights leaders under anti-boycott laws, including Martin Luther King. So Rustin organized those leaders to demand that they get arrested. He turned the repression into a spectacle. So those charged, they were ended up being cheered on by their crowds. They held their arrest papers high like trophies. People who weren't even on those lists, they demanded that they get arrested and said, "Why am I not on the list? I'm a leader too." The fear turned into valor. So fear is going to be inevitable under repression. But when we redirect it, it can actually turn that intimidation into resistance. Part of what helps us to not be fearful is when we're seeing a better future. And that's the last episode.